Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe. So this is kind of an important differentiation between shame and guilt, because often the narcissist, um, they don't really have remorse. Sometimes they might have a little bit of guilt, but it's fleeting. It's not really deep. But they definitely deal with shame. Shame is kind of the basis of narcissism. So there are four shame phases, and that includes a trigger. Something's going to set the narcissist off where they feel the shame. They'll have a physiological or affective reaction, cognitive reactions, behavioral or defensive responses. And what causes the shame? Let's talk about the triggers. So with shame, the recognition comes of their own inferior status, and it results in some adverse feelings that they have. So the recognition of the self's failure to conform to social norms and expectations can also be a trigger. Feeling inadequate or they're different. And the affect portion of it, it's often a blend of basic emotions such as anger, anxiety, and disgust. So when our narcissist is going through things, they're releasing their anxiety onto us, their anger. They feel a disgust, so they're going to try to put some type of disgust onto us, whether it's our body. They'll do different shaming on us to kind of rebalance themselves. So they often can either, in their behavioral response, they'll either attack themselves. That's why sometimes they'll struggle with suicide, or impulsive behaviors. They might withdraw. So we know our narcissists love to do the silent treatment. That's them withdrawing, and it's a reaction to the shame. And I don't want you guys feeling that you're the one that put the shame onto the narcissist. Is the shame coming out, and they are putting it onto you. They're trying to get rid of that shame. And these are how they're expressed. They also might attack another person. And that's where the verbal abuse, physical abuse, blame shifting, and they'll either withdraw or avoid. And that's the ghosting. And it's common among pretty much all narcissists. So the typology of shame, there's external shame. Those are the thoughts and feelings about how the person is believed to exist in the minds of others. And it's really important to the narcissist to appear as superior or worthy of the attention that's in the room. So they also have internal shame, which is self-directed evaluations, thoughts and feelings of inadequacies and flaws. So they know that they might not be worthy, so they make up stories. Trauma and shame. People feel shame or ashamed because of what happened. And they also can feel in response to trauma. They can feel shame based on how they responded. And we sometimes go through that kind of shame too, like I shouldn't have done that, and why did this happen? Did I have something to do with it? And we react to things. But the difference between shame and guilt: shame is emotion of social sanction, and guilt is different. Guilt is based on internal sanctions. So when we go through shame, it's related to the entire self, and the narcissist is self-focused. Guilt is related to a specific behavior. That's why we feel guilty, like I shouldn't have shouted back. Why did I shout back? Or, why didn't I do this? Shame is concerned with the ideals. That's why the narcissist has to feel empowered. That's why they put in the love bombing stage, they idealize us. But guilt is concerned with prohibitions. Shame is self-oriented, and that's what the narcissist is. Guilt is different. Guilt is communal oriented. So there's big differences, and narcissism is a shame-based disorder. So, also differentiating differentiating between guilt and shame. With shame, there's a fear of intimacy. So the narcissists, they shut down. They can have sex with you, but they don't get that intimate connection. And with guilt, you know, if you feel guilty about something, you still don't have the fear of connecting with the person. Like, I'm really sorry, and this is what happened. So there's no fear of intimacy when you feel guilt. There's also no blaming of the others. You're taking responsibility. I shouldn't have done that. I understand I was wrong and I'm sorry. I feel guilty for that. There's no blame in that. But the shame, they'll often blame other people. That's why the narcissist has to switch things around. They are getting rid of their shame. And their shame is so intrinsic inside them that they just want to get rid of it. And they want to fill it with whatever we have to offer. So they take advantage of it, they fill, but it's like a balance. They're filling and spewing their shame onto us, and we're giving. So we have to replace it with something. And that's what they're giving us. We become uncomfortable because that's not who we are. And we're taking on toxins and we want to get rid of it, at least to a healthy balance. We don't mind helping people, but it's to the point where our bodies are reacting. It's changing our brain chemistry, how we feel, maybe our digestive processes. So there are some behavioral markers and actions that you can see with shame. When somebody is going through shame, they conceal things. That's why the narcissist lies or doesn't bring forth the truth. They can often drop their head or turn away. So they can divert eye contact or break eye contact. So when you're talking with a narcissist, pay attention to their eyes. You can really tell if somebody's telling the truth based on the way that they maintain eye contact. Sometimes too, be careful, because sometimes people learn this. So they're like, and they'll stare you down. They'll make sure that they try not to blink. Extra blinking is a sign of lies. So hunching of the shoulders, shrinking of the body, or compression of the body, kind of how like dogs, you'll see it. It's like you can have 3 dogs in your house. You can look at them, you know exactly who the culprit was because of the way their body is. It's a reaction. So sometimes the narcissist doesn't realize what they're doing, but if they're like, no, I didn't cheat, and they're starting to humble down, that could be a sign. So pay attention to red flags. Sometimes the blushing, where they get a little frustrated, that's a sign of lying. And that's a shame-based response. So the momentary blank mind, inability to speak, they're trying to think, do I conceal this? What's my story? We get that with the narcissist. And how does shame and psychosis relate? You know, hold on, I'm going through this. So with shame, it doesn't necessarily predict how hostile somebody would be, but it is definitely related to even like schizophrenia. So shame of having the diagnosis may heighten in schizophrenics due to stigmatization or social threats. That's why our narcissist doesn't want to get help. They're already trying to be this perfect person that they're not. And then if they do find out that they have a personality disorder, they're afraid of more rejection from society, the society that they are trying so hard to stand out in. So going to therapy for a narcissist, they don't want to be honest about their disorder, so we don't know how to handle it. They will take things out on us. And it's amazing how much shame can really make a difference. There's also, you know, dissociative disorders and all these different mental health issues. You know, a lot of them are based on childhood abuse or neglect, sometimes even just the neglect. can cause that brain damage that is going to inhibit the way that they interact with people. And because of the narcissist shame, it's something that it's who they are. That's why they call it personality disorder. That's their personality. And when we're with a narcissist, they're changing our personality. So we're no longer us, we're losing ourselves, and we like ourselves. The narcissist doesn't like themselves. We liked ourselves. And now we just want to get back to feeling like who we were. We should be appreciated. We're doing things. We should be able to communicate with people that are in our circle. And I just did a video on butterflies being a red flag. That's our body's response, our physiological response to being around our narcissist, the anxiety we start to feel, the walking on eggshells. These are all red flags that it's unsafe. And narcissists love to be unpredictable. And it's going to start messing with your mind. It's going to give you brain fog. And it takes a long time to heal from this abuse. So the longer you stay in it, the harder it is. But there is hope to heal. But it does take effort, a redirection of the way you're thinking, a rebalance of your brain chemicals. And we start taking on these narcissistic traits because we're getting rid of the shame that they put onto us. Because we're starting to feel like, is my cooking not good enough? And then they get a new supply. Am I not pretty enough? Or did I not make enough money? Or if only I would have, finished college, or if only I would have done this, or I'm not worthy because I can't have a baby, or whatever it is. Or am I too old? A lot of times they'll pick somebody younger. Both mine did by quite a bit, 10 and 14 years. That's because a narcissist is trying to live vicariously. They don't have their own life. They don't have their own identity. They have to live vicariously through others. So they are using others as a vector to go through life. So if they want to be somebody famous, they'll latch onto somebody famous and try to guide that person into that vicarious life. And then that person's not living their life, or they're feeling unnecessary pressures to live a life that they might not want to. So take that to heart, that the narcissist does need to live vicariously through others, where they utilize you for them to have a life, for them to feel whole. But they're never whole. They're so depleted, and they're only concerned about themselves. And until they could, even when they're self-aware, like liver, like I could eat liver. I'm probably never gonna like it, ever. No matter how much you tell me I'm gonna like it, no matter how many different ways you cook it, probably never gonna like it. Can I eat it? I can eat it, probably. I was forced to as a kid. Don't do that to me. But yeah, I can change my actions. I can eat it. I'm not gonna like it, ever. So the narcissist, can they change their actions? Yeah, just like me eating liver. I'm never going to like it. Is the narcissist ever going to like changing their actions? Give me a second option where I don't have to eat liver. I'm going to go for the second option. That's what the narcissist, they like to go with the second option, the third option. Whenever things get uncomfortable, they don't want to do it a certain way. They'll go through the actions until something better, like a cheeseburger, comes along. And then, the cheeseburger, how about lasagna instead, or a steak, or whatever. They're going through life never happy with what they have. So they can change, just like I could change my eating habits. Doesn't mean I'm going to like it. That's me. That's my taste buds. The narcissist, that's their brain. That's how they are. So we're asking them to be something different. and they're not going to like it. They might do it, but that shame is inside them. And they're always going to want to get rid of it. They're never going to live up to the expectations. They're never naturally going to get enough supply. You know, let's say it was important for you to compliment me on what I look like. You know, I'm not sitting there like, you know, who's next? Who will tell me, you know, I'm pretty or whatever. The narcissist like thrives for that. And whatever, you're the smartest, you're the best, you're so creative, whatever it is, but they don't wait for it to happen naturally. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. They're content in themselves. Like, I don't need anybody to tell me. I know we all have flaws. I know my flaws. But the narcissist, they fool themselves. Sometimes they even believe their lies because they're so focused on themselves. You know, if let's say they were a good singer, they have this false sense of self that they're that great, and they could be good, but they focus on themselves. So yes, they could be a good singer, fantastic singer, but they make it seem like they're the best. And whether it's, you can relate it to whatever in their life, whether it's their job, whether it's this, whether it's that, the chances of them being as grandiose as they think they are is slim to none. But they live in that state of, it's almost like they're seeking a euphoria. It, it's kind of like us during the trauma bond, where we're trying to rebalance our brain chemicals because they started being altered and it became addictive. And the narcissist becomes addicted too. And they'll do whatever it takes. Think about the you hear about all these crimes that people on some hardcore drugs are doing. You know, did they plan on murdering somebody? Did they plan on breaking in, pushing over an old lady, punching her so he can get her handbag? She, could be he, she. It's a desperation. And the narcissist, when they go into those rages, they're in this desperation. And the narcissist, when a lot of times we think that the narcissist wants to be adored. Well, if they're not adored, they'll even want to be hated the most. It's the extremes, either the best of the best or the worst of the worst. They don't care. They need to stand out. So if I'm somewhat of a bitch, that's not good enough for them. They need to be the top bitch. They are different because they're so empty and they're searching for themselves, but they search for themselves in the outside world. So their triggers come from the outside, and borderlines, their triggers, sorry, I said bipolar. Borderline, the triggers are from the inside, and that the narcissist and borderline are very similar. I just did a video where CPTSD and borderline, could it be the same thing? Some say yes, some say no. It's an interesting video, but it's the opposite. So sometimes borderlines and narcissists or people with CPTSD, they'll often match up with another narcissist. So be aware of that narcissist, it's hard with the narcissist though, because they lie so much. So when you're trying to be safe, you're like, okay, cool. They're a good Christian, they're a good Jewish person or Hindu or whatever is important, Muslim. You're like, good. They have the same faith. They have the same this. They go to work all the time. They're stable. They have an executive job. And then you find out that, it's part-time. I don't know, maybe a janitor. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's the portrayal. And let's say they said you could stay home and take care of the kids. So you're like, okay, everything's working out. Everything's working out. Where you might have kept your job if they would have told you that they're a part-time janitor making way, a fourth of what CEO might make. So you see them go to this building and then you pick them up, you have lunch with them at the local restaurant, and you don't know the life of them. And you try to give people respect and space to where you're like, look, I can't call, what department is he in? You you don't want to destroy a relationship before it even starts, where you're stalking them, checking up on things, looking through their phones. But with a narcissist, they hide everything. They know about the different apps, and they have addictions, some to pornography, some to cheating, to attention, to, just being the center of attention, whatever kind of attention. That's why they ruin holidays. They act out, and they don't like to share the attention. They'll go with the flow for a little bit, but then they get agitated. They need that. They crave it. And they also get upset when you do good. They don't like to encourage you. I know my degree's in criminal justice. I had a job offer for a police officer, and I asked him, I said, can you be a personal reference for me? He's a state cop. I thought, perfect. This guy, he's a state cop. He'll give me a good recommendation. Because he's always like complimented that I'm really smart, things like that. And so I thought, yeah, we've worked out together. He can give it, whatever. And he didn't want to do that for me because I'm female. And my partner in life for that time, we ended up getting engaged. We had a baby together. He didn't want to help me. He didn't want to help me because I was female. So later on, he dated a chief of police, female. So it's like, also too, we broke up because he didn't want to have kids. But while I was pregnant, he was dating somebody with a kid. So they give us a bunch of bullshit. And, that's where I struggled with, wait a minute, like, it's okay for her to be a cop. It's okay for her to have a kid, which isn't even yours. It's okay for her to be chunky, but I can't be because you don't want to sign up for that, and this, that, whatever. And sometimes you try to figure it out, and it's like, do they see the potential where possibly maybe I had more potential, so they put a higher expectation. I know I can use you more. And they it's so weird because you would think that they would encourage you to do the job you wanted. They destroy it because, it's just mind blowing. So shame, narcissism is based on shame. And that's the way they act the way they do. So it's who they are. And they don't know how to get rid of that shame. So can they heal from it? They have to change who they think they are. They think they're entitled. And that's a rude awakening. One thing that was hard for me is I was always the star of the play. And when I did a big audition, I got a part. I was like, I don't get the lead role. Like, that was kind of hard. But it's like, that was like in elementary, middle school stuff. But the narcissist can't look past, they can't grow from it or realize that there are people out there that do certain things better. because they're stuck in that taste of fame or taste of attention. And if they don't get it, they'll act out. I see it in the kids at school. They want attention. They feel lost in the crowd unless they're acting out. And I know it's not that they don't like me as a teacher, because a lot of times they give me more hugs than the other kids, but they sure act out more. And you would think, these kids like me so much, they're hugging me compared to the other kids. The other kids like me. And if you can relate that to the narcissist, where they're attentive and then they act out, that's childlike state. And we want a relationship with an adult, because those kids that hug me but act out, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Same with the narcissist. Those relationships are exhausting. Something to think about. So one-on-ones are available. We also have a super thanks donate button down below that I just realized a lot of you guys don't know about. Thanks to those that donate. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.